Welcome to the broadcast. Now, the ongoing rivalry in the NASA coalition will hand over power to Deputy President William Ruto. This is according to some of ODM members of parliament who feel it's an opportune time for the One Kenya Alliance leaders to unite with opposition leader Raila Odinga ahead of 2022 to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta. And as our reporter Jeff Khaimba reports, Wiper Party of Kalonzo Musyoka is set to hold a meeting on Monday whose agenda is exit strategy in the coalition.
It was one of the formidable force in the year 2017 general elections, a fierce NASA force that wrestled with the Jubilee Party. A NASA coalition which brought together the ODM boss Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka of Wiper Party, ANC boss Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula of Ford Kenya and Isaac Ruto of CCM enjoyed millions of support base countrywide before the disintegration. And as the country heads to the 2022 polls, the then NASA partners are in dilemma over the wrangles that has seen the formation of the One Kenya Alliance, comprising Musalia Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka and Moses Wetangula, a move that has not augured well with some of the ODM members of parliament.
Ujumbe wangu mkuu ni kwamba washikane mara moja, na kama watashikana Ruto atawashinda mchana wakiona. Tusidanganyane kwa hiyo maneno. Na lazima tuwe serious, na kuna wale ambao wanachochea kwamba Raila akue pande hile na kina Kalonzo na grupu yake na Wetangula na kina Mudavadi waende pande hii. Hao ndio watu ambao mimi nataka.
Tunaelewana kabisa. Kwa hivyo sisi ni kitu kimoja. Na ndio kwa sababu tumekuja hapa na ndugu yangu kuwaambia kwamba let us walk together, tutembee pamoja.
Makadara, member of parliament George Alada, who joined the worshippers at ADC Church in Mathare in Nairobi, rallied behind their counterparts to unite or else perish. Machakos County Senator Agnes Kavindo, however, has rejected unity talks, even as she championed for the Kalonzo presidency.
Naomba watu wa Ukambani, watu wa Machakos, watu wa Kitui, watu wale wengine wa Makueni, wote tushikane pamoja, tuchunge kura zetu zote, tupatie Mheshimiwa Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka 2022 ili awe president wetu. Za Ukambani hatutaki yoyote iende mahali popote.
Bila hiyo siasa yao wasahau kiti ya 2022. Kwa sababu ukiwacha Raila Amolo Odinga nje ya siasa ya Kenya, ukisema unataka kupiga kifua muende kivyenyu, hiyo tutapoteza mchana na tutakuwa tumeregret.
One Kenya Alliance principles are determined in forming the next government after President Uhuru Kenyatta. However, this, according to some critics, might be a tall order. On Sunday, ANC boss Musalia Mudavadi toured Nyandarua County for charm offensive, while Kanu boss Gideon Moi toured AIPC Church in Nyeri County.
Sasa yeye akimaliza muhula wake, sasa ni juhudi yetu tukiomba Mwenyezi Mungu, na kama wa Kenya tutafute tena kiongozi mwingine ambaye atashikilia pale na kuenda mbele. Tusiweze angalia nyuma tena.
Njia kusaidia uchumi na wafanyabiashara na watu wadogo ni ile Musalia anasema. Kwanza tuache ufisadi, tuache kuiba. Tuache kuiba. Ya pili tupunguze ushuru.
Defeating William Ruto is my #1 priority. Yes. And I have reasons for it. And I have reasons for it.
Formations are forming. And as the formations form, vile Kanina Masamba, yetu tumeanza ile One Kenya Alliance, na tunakaribisha watu wote, Kanini Kega, governor, wote watu wa Central, we are invited.
The split in the NASA coalition has amplified a political debate in the country. Already, ANC declared its exit last week in the NASA coalition, and on Monday, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka will be holding a strategy meeting to bow out of the NASA coalition, which they have tolerated for the last 5 good years.
So tunataka okoa Kenya na wenzetu wale walikuwa kwa NASA. Turudi pamoja, hiyo ndio maombi yangu. Ndio tukienda 2022 tupige kura pamoja, yule Mungu atabariki akuwe president, ndio sisi tutafuata.
Tunajua kuna UDA, tunajua kuna vyama vile vingine, lakini tunataka kuwatangazia saa hii ya kwamba Ukambani, the unity is there.
It centered the efforts by President Uhuru Kenyatta to unify NASA principles as bore no fruit following the ego from each of the leaders eyeing for the presidency.
Jina si kitu ya maana. Jina kitu ya maana ni sisi tushikane ndio tuweze kushinda uchaguzi na kuunda serikali.
Kwa hivyo ni wakati wenu Central murudishe mkono. Ni wakati wa Kalenjini warudishe mkono. Kumbukeni Kalonzo alisimama na nyinyi miaka 24 wakati Moi alikuwa president.
Reporting for Ebro TV, I'm Jeff Khaemba.
Now, Deputy President William Ruto has, of course, told off critics of his bottom-up approach economic model and urged them to come up with their own plan ahead of the 2022 general election. Now, the DP accused his opponents of destroying Jubilee and taking President Uhuru Kenyatta captive, making it difficult for the government to deliver its promises to Kenyans. Now, while speaking in Nyandarua County, Ruto told the NASA leaders to stop making him their campaign agenda.
Nimesikia watu wa NASA ati kazi yao kubwa ni kujaribu kushindana na mimi. Yani hawana plan, hawana agenda, hawana mpango. Ati mpango yao yote ni kushindana na Ruto. Mimi nataka niwaambie hawa marafiki, tafadhali nawaambia kwa kuwapatia mawaidha, tafuteni agenda, tafuteni agenda, tafuteni plan. Sisi tuko tayari, sisi tuko na chama inaitwa UDA, sisi tuko na mpango inaitwa bottom up, sisi tuko na wananchi wamejipanga. Nyinyi kama mpango yenu ni mtu anaitwa William Ruto, mutakwama. Tafuteni sera kwanza, na mutafute chama, na mutafute candidate, ndio mukuje tushindane na nyinyi. Lakini mkizunguka vile mnazunguka, mwisho mutaenda kujiapisha pale vile ule mwingine alijiapisha siku hiyo ingine wakati tumewashinda. Niliona rafiki yangu mmoja ambaye alitembea hapa kwenu jana, anashangaa mambo ya bottom up economic model, kwa sababu amechanganya na ile bottom up ya mashindano ya kukunywa pombe. Sisi tunataka kumwambia, my friend, we are not talking about drinking alcohol bottom up. We are discussing about an economic model. Unajua shida ya Kenya, watu wengi wamekwama kwa kuzoea kukunywa pombe. Sasa wakisikia bottom up, wana kichwa yao inakimbia kwa mashindano ya kukunywa pombe. We are not discussing about consuming alcohol, my friend. We are discussing about an economic model to lift ordinary citizens out of poverty and to make sure that every citizen counts in our country.
Very interesting right there. And as we move on, the Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service now says the 2022 KCSE candidates will know their fate by mid-August this year. In a statement to newsrooms on Sunday, the body said this follows the conclusion of the revision of choices on July the 23rd this year for those who applied for placement to local universities and colleges. It also said that it is targeting secondary school graduates with any mean grade from the year 2000 to 2022 for placement and government sponsorships to TVET institutions. Now, Garissa Township Member of Parliament, that's Aden Duale, has promised calls to postpone the August 2022 general elections, noting that the Kenyan Constitution under Article 259 is clear on election dates. Speaking during a fundraising event at Garissa Hotel, Aden Duale asked Kenyans to ignore the leaders calling for postponement of next year's general election. Duale's sentiments comes days after the African Court on Human Rights in Arusha that gave countries the green light to postpone elections over COVID-19. The court ruled that treaties signed by African Union member states allow for postponement of elections in the event of a disaster that threatens the well-being of citizens, such as the COVID-19 pandemic, which has caused the deaths of thousands in the continent. Now, the Garissa Township Member of Parliament, however, says this is not the case for Kenya, therefore cannot be postponed.
Mimi nawaambia nyinyi mnaota ndoto 2022 kwa sababu katiba ya Kenya imetoa kinagaubaga. The constitution has spoken that the next general election will be on the 9th of August 2022. So if you are not prepared, particularly to face the candidature of William Samoei Ruto, do not look for an excuse. Nobody can postpone the elections, including President Uhuru Kenyatta. President Uhuru Kenyatta, after 9th of August 2022, 2 days later, he must hand over the instruments of power to the next president-elect, elected majority by the people of Kenya. So, musisikize upuzi ya kina Tuoli na wengine. Katiba ya Kenya inaongea. The Constitution, under Article 259 of the Constitution speaks to the people. So wale wanatuambia ati mtaongezewa, hata mkianzisha, the only option that the election can be postponed, that is in the Constitution, is in case this country goes to war with another country. And we are telling the heads of security in our country that even that option is not available. And we want to urge our president that you must leave a legacy, just the way President Moi handed over power to President Kibaki in 2002, just like the way Kibaki handed over that transition. President Uhuru Kenyatta will hand over power in accordance with the Constitution.
As schools reopen for the first term tomorrow, over 200 needy students from Vihiga County have been aided with school utilities, including face masks through the government's sponsorship and scholarship program. Primary and secondary schools are set to reopen on July the 26th for the first term of this year, which will last only 30 weeks, compared to the traditional school calendar that runs for about 39 weeks between July and March next year.
Speaking at the event, Governor Wilbur Otichilo said his government is keen to provide better education among learners in the county.
Tutajitahidi kuona kwamba tunaweka pesa ili watoto wetu, hasa wale ambao wanatoka kwa familia ambao hawajiwezi, tuwe tunaweza kutoa ufadhili ili waendelee na masomo. So hii county yetu iko na nafasi kubwa sana kutokana na hawa watoto wa kuipeleka mbele.
He added that parents have a role to play even as the county government injects some cash to the students, and that parents should be on the forefront to monitor the progress of their children.
So mimi kama gavana wenu nataka kumhakikishia kwamba I'm committed to education. So parents, we have a lot of resources here. Hawa by next year na miaka ijayo watabadilisha dunia hii. Pahali mnatoka, mtu akianza kuzungumza ati mtu aende nyumbani, nyinyi ndio mnatakiwa muwe wa kwanza kukemea hawa na kuambia wacheni governor afanye kazi.
At the same time, the governor used the opportunity to tell off his critics, whom have been on loggerheads with him, of allegations of poor leadership and misappropriation of funds.
Lakini wajua, wanaona mimi ni mpole na wanafikiria kwamba nitaendelea kuwa mpole. lakini wacha wakati wa siasa ifike, ndio watajua wanacheza na Simba.
This comes a few days after the Ministry of Education announced a reduction in secondary school fees due to the short nature of the 2021 school calendar. National schools will now pay 8,500 less, while extra county and county schools will pay 5,500 less. Term 1 will begin on July 26th, and learners will have another 1-week break from October 2nd to October 10th before they open for the second term the following day. It will run until December 23rd. The calendar is an adjustment of the traditional January to December school cycle that was altered by the closure of learning institutions in March last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Busara Naman for Ebru TV.
Now, the country's COVID-19 positivity rate is now at 12.2% after 664 new cases of COVID-19 were recorded in 24 hours from a sample size of 5,432. This brings the country's caseload to 197,409. 201 patients have recovered from the disease, pushing the number of recoveries to 185,808. The country's fatalities stand at 3,865 after 16 deaths were recorded. As of today, a total of 1.67 million vaccines have been administered across the country, over which 625,000 have received their second doses. Now, Madeira lawmaker Rigathi Gachagua will spend the weekend in custody awaiting arraignment on Monday to face money laundering, corruption and abuse of office charges. Gachagua on Saturday spent a second night at Gigiri Police Station, where he was taken after hours of interrogation at the DCI headquarters along Kiambu Road. Now, he is accused of money laundering, with investigators placing the figure at 7 billion shillings. He is also accused of misappropriation of CDF funds and benefiting from questionable procurement of medical equipment from Nyeri County hospitals during the reign of his late brother Nderitu Gachagua as governor. Gachagua, however, claims his arrest and pending prosecution is politically instigated because of his relationship with Deputy President William Ruto. Now, 6 days until the COVID-19 containment measures put in 13 counties of Nyanza and Western region elapse, religious leaders have now come out to ask the government allow them conduct church services and masses. Now, led by Father Martin Chibole from the Diocese of Hambale in Vihiga County, he said it's time to open churches since COVID-19 cases in the region have reduced.
Speaking in church, Bishop Martin Chibole said Kenyans have been facing hard situations in the county and even resulting to stress, and the only place they can find hope is in church.
Tungependa basi makanisa yafunguliwe, hasa mno ukizingatia jinsi mambo yanavyokwenda kwa mwezi mmoja huu na zaidi. Watu wanateseka, kuna stress na depression nyingi katika watu wetu, na sote tunajua kwamba kanisa ni mahali ambapo tunakuja kuomba na kupata ushauri, na kanisa ikisaidiana na taasisi zingine, bila shaka mambo yatakuwa shwari.
He added that as a church they have put all the needed measures and followed the Ministry of Health protocols to ensure safety of the church members.
Aviona kanisa tumemark 1 meter mahali pa watu kuketi na watu wanazingatia huo utaratibu. Pia hata tuna masks. Kwa mfano, Mkristo akija akakosa mask, wale ushers wetu huwa wanagawa masks pale nje. Hakuna mtu kwetu hapa huwa tunasema no mask, no mass.
Even as they wait for days for the containment measures to elapse, their hope is to return back to church activities and continue to give the message of hope to faithfuls as well as the effects of the coronavirus pandemic.
Sema kwamba COVID-19 haipo, ipo, na hata sisi kama kanisa tumeshuhudia, tumeshiriki mazishi mengi ya watu ambao wameondoka kwa sababu ya COVID-19, lakini kwa sababu corona ipo nasi, ni vizuri makanisa yanachangia kufundisha watu jinsi ya kufuata maagizo ya afya kuhakikisha kwamba hili janga linatuondoke.
On his part, Kisumu County Director for Public Health, Dr. Fred Oluoch, alluded to the efforts kept to contain the virus, saying they have borne fruit since cases have reduced drastically and hoping that locals will not drop the guard.
So that's why they said church people could only go for 2 hours or below. You get this? But still, they sing there and they end up, people are still getting positive. So what did we see? Then the government brought an allegation that let's close it for now, until the numbers go down. And that's why we are happy to observe that the churches are still closed. But of course, I said we're having good progress.
He said Kisumu and its environs obliged the containment measures, and there's been a decrease in political activities, and the number of people attending burials has been cut down, and this has led to a decline in the positivity rate in that region. Busara Naman for Ebru TV.
Now, a section of youth leaders in the Mount Kenya region now want political parties to be deliberate in including youth's agenda in their manifesto. They say that their needs have been met, or rather been left out for a very long time, yet they form more than 50% of the nation's population. Maina Kamunya, the coordinator for the youth lobby group, says it's high time they unite and front their own political leaders in the next year's general election. Mount Kenya youth have called upon all political parties to embrace youth agenda in their manifesto. According to Maina Kamunya, the youth group coordinator said youth's agenda has been left out for a long time and it was high time for things to change.
We deliberated with the leaders of the Mount Kenya youth, and we have come out with one voice, and we are saying without hesitance that we are tired. We are tired by the way the country and the Mount Kenya region has been treating the youth and the leadership that has caused the current situation of the current state of things. It cannot be that in this country we make up 75% of the population and we have a less than 6.7% representation in the parliament. That is not acceptable. Despite the country having more than 50% of its population as the youth, many are jobless and have lamented that the government has failed to respond to their needs.
One thing I've realized is that Mount Kenya region, especially the young people and women, they are feeling neglected, they are bitter, they are feeling that they are not heard, they don't have a father, they are feeling lonely, they are feeling that they are orphans. And that's why if you look at what have happened just in Kiambaa and Juja, it's just an indication that all is not well in our region. And therefore, I want to request, and especially addressing Mr. Karini Kega, stop blaming the Jubilee party leadership. There's a real problem in the region, there's a real problem in the society that need an immediate address.
The young leaders said that they will start conducting awareness in order to save young people from drunkenness and use of illegal substances and help them to become better.
We as young people are suffering because of loss of jobs.
Because we don't have people who can learn for the seat, for political seats, because most of them are really gone to drunkenness. So we are appealing to the leaders, the elected leaders. We come back to a consensus so that we can see how we can do some awareness campaigns for us not to stop this norm.
They have called upon Mount Kenya leaders to stop fighting the president and instead help him in fulfilling his promises to the people of the mountain.
We want to see each and every political party taking its position and ensuring that young people participate in politics, because we want young people to be the leaders of tomorrow, not really just tomorrow. Tomorrow, and not the tomorrow that we have always been promised. We are very sure that we have very diligent young people.
The youth have called upon young people who want to vie for political seats to do so, pledging that they will be at the forefront in supporting them. Now, West Pokot Governor Professor John Lonyangapuo has appealed to the political class in the country to stop spreading rumors over alleged plots to postpone the 2022 general elections without clear reasons. Now, according to Lonyangapuo, he said the ongoing rumors might plunge the country into chaos.
The subject on election postponement of next year's August 9th general election has been on a number of leaders' lips, each of them holding divergent views. The latest to add his voice is West Pokot Governor John Lonyangapuo, who said such sentiments could plunge the country into chaos.
Ni terminology mbaya sana. Scheme is a very bad thing. So kama kuna plan ya kutaka kusimamisha ama kusongesha election isiitwe njama. So wenye wana plan tujue sababu ni gani.
Speaking at Kanyarkwat area while inspecting development projects, Lonyangapuo called on those planning for the postponement of the 2022 general elections to come out clear and tell the Kenyans the truth, and politicians should stop polarizing the country with politics.
So tusianze kuongea kwa niaba ya IEBC, na tukisikia rumors na propaganda, hata kama itakuwa kweli, whatever they say, let it come. Ndio tusikue wa kwanza wata spread hiyo mambo, kumbe haitakuwa kweli. Then we set our country on a terrible mode of politics.
He added that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, is the only body mandated to give direction on the dates of the election, faulting those who have taken over the work of the commission.
A lot of people are going to move from party to party, sababu ya ndio season. Hata sisi tutaweza kuhama, lakini not now. So just prepare yourself, but we continue working. When the season ikifika, ambayo IEBC wanasema wakati imefika ya watu kusimama, that's the time we can come out. Then sing your songs, beat your drums. Lakini saa hii kwa heshima, tuheshimu vile president amesema, ili tuwe na inji moja.
The vocal governor called for calm, urging leaders to serve Kenyans and ensure development is realized. Religious leaders have also voiced their concerns on election postponement, calling on those seeking for the postponement of the elections to allow the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to proceed with its preparations unhindered.
Now, a section of residents in Huluho sub-county in Garissa County may now have a reason to smile after the county government launched a power connectivity project in the area in a bid to boost security. Now, Energy CS Charles Keter said the government has set aside 1.2 billion shillings, which will be used to set up and supply hybrid power connectivity using solar energy and diesel to schools, businesses and homes.
My pleasure.
The cost of rural electrification has increased over the past year due to the economic effects of COVID-19. The government has set aside 1.2 billion shillings for Garissa County, which will be used to set up and supply hybrid power connectivity from both solar energy and diesel to boreholes and schools. Garissa is part of the Asal counties, which experience high temperatures, making goods such as milk and fruits highly perishable without refrigerators.
Kuna miradi nyingi. Tuko na bilioni 1.2 yenye itaanza I think in the next 2 weeks. Ya Garissa tu hapa hivi. Yenye itaanza in the next 2 weeks. Ile stima tutalete kwa borehole, kwa primary school, inafanya na solar na wind, hybrid na diesel. So hiyo ni 1.2. The whole project ni 15 billion. Inaenda to 14 Asal countries, lakini yenu hapa ni 1.2. Na pesa zingine ya kusambaza is about 500 million.
The project was officially commissioned by Energy CS Charles Keter, who said that the government will supply electricity to all residents in the area within 2 weeks.
Lakini sahi rais wetu alisema hata kama nyumba yako ni ya matope, kama ni nyumba yako ni ya nyasi, kama ni nyumba yako imejengwa mzuri na mawe, lazima tupatie wewe stima. Nataka tujenge, na hiyo maneno nimesikia, I think mjumbe wenu amesema maneno ya barabara. Unajua barabara ikitengenezwa, stima ikuja, maji ikitengenezwa, stima na hizi vitu zingine, hata wenye wanafanya ukora hawatapata nafasi Jamhuri ya Kenya.
Area Member of Parliament Sophia Abdinur lauded the government for initiating the project and said that businesses will soon open with the power supply.
From 2010 to today, saizi tunasikia kuna watu wametolewa Sagailu, kuna watu wametolewa palingine. Tunasema na tunapitia wewe waziri, hiyo station ni watu ya Huluko ambayo walivolunteer, hawa tu ndio watafanya hiyo kazi. Nilikuletea list ya vijana ambayo ni watu ya Huluko uwapatie kazi, tulikubaliana na waziri amekubali. Hao vijana tulikaa tukachukua list yao na wazee hawa, waziri amekubali na mtaitwa, mtapatiwa kazi Mungu akipenda.
Residents are hopeful that with this project, it is going to boost their businesses, aid water pumping, and likely help students in studying extra time after school. For Ebru TV, my name is Lucy Riley. Now, the family of police sharpshooter Caroline Kangogo says she will get a decent burial despite allegations that she killed 2 men before killing herself. Some experts claim that she may have been murdered based on lack of blood splatter, her relaxed position, and the fact that the gun was still in her hand. Chief Government Pathologist Dr. Johansen Odwor will perform an autopsy on Tuesday at the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. Then the family will set a fresh date for burial. Now, the family had already slaughtered cows and used more than, of course, 400,000 shillings to prepare for her burial on Saturday at Nyawa village near Tambach in Elgeyo Marakwet. It was postponed at the last minute as authorities required an autopsy. All right, now let's take a look at what's happening in the world of sports. Hit Squad suffered yet another blow after Christine Ongare was bundled out of Tokyo Olympics on Sunday morning by Irish Magno of Philippines via unanimous decision in the round of 32 of women's flyweight division at the Cocuican Arena. Now, the Filipino boxer scored a unanimous decision win against Ongare, with the 4 of the 5 judges scoring 30-27 in favor of the Filipino pug. Now, one judge gave a 30-26 score for Magno.
Nishacheza boti yangu, nimeshindwa. Pia venye tunasemanga kuna next time, na nimelearn vitu mingi. Kitu ya kwanza nimelearn, hata nashinda venye nda explain, but nimelearn hizi magame, the more unaenda, the more unakuwa na exposure, ndio the more unaendelea ukiwa poa. Sababu since federation ya BFK ichukue usukani, tumeenda game 2. Although moja ilikuwa ya Afrika, ingine ilikuwa Russia. Whereby ingekuwa tumeenda hizo games ahead ama hapo mwanzoni, ingekuwa zinatubuild sana juu inapata time umekaa for long for that boxing, but umekukicheza within Africa. Na Afrika kulingana na ile game tulicheza Kinshasa, inaonekana game yetu ni kama moja. So tukitoka kwa hizi nchi za nje, Europe, zinakuja kutupatia challenge sana juu sisi game style yetu ni moja kama wa Afrika. So pia exposure ni kitu ya maana, na nimelearn vitu mob. Challenges inakoga ni bidi ni pande weight juu kwa Olympics hakuna light fly, inabidi nipande nicheze fly. So yes, nina speed, but inafika time nikishaanza kucheza game clinching, sina hiyo strength. Utapata mtu ametoka maybe feather, ametoka bante, anataka hii fly kwa sababu ndio it is Olympics. So pia kuna venye inanipatia challenge nikishafika mahali pa game. But in all and all, mimi na thank God kwa sababu dream nimetimia kwa dream yangu. Hata kama sijatoka na medal, still bado najua kuna wale wa mademu kwenye wanaadmire kufika tu pale nimefika.
And that story by Christine takes us to the end of this particular bulletin. Of course, one lesson that, of course, she has learned that we can all take home is that in a competition, sometimes we win, sometimes we learn. Now, that's all the time that we had with you for tonight's bulletin. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. My name is Lucy Riley, and the sign language interpreter is Joyce Wairimu. Do enjoy the rest of your evening, and even to those learners who are resuming school tomorrow. That's for the primary and high school learners. Of course, we wish you all the best in all your endeavors. Be sure to stay safe, take care of yourself, and adhere to the COVID-19 protocols. Good night.